If there's one realization I came to on this trip, is that I'm overweight. We're going to take a quick look at one of my favorite features on the M11, and that is perspective control. So I'm sorry I didn't show more video of my walk around. I was holding the iPhone, just shooting when I could. But I'm using the Voigtlander 28mm Ultron f2 version 2. I love this little lens. It's a keeper. Probably one of my favorite wides, probably my favorite wide. I have the 21 f4 and it's just okay. I'm not too excited with that lens, but the 28 I love. I would like to find a good 21 for the rare occasion that I use it for real estate, interior real estate. But today I wanted to take a walk around, like I said earlier, and shoot with the perspective control. And I could be wrong in this, but I'm 90% sure when I shot in RAW with perspective control, when I brought it into the computer in Photoshop, it would show me, and then I could take it on or off. I believe that's because you have perspective control in Photoshop on the computer, but when I bring it into the iPad, because that's all I take on these trips, the perspective control isn't there. And the other thing is, when I did originally bring them in, it wasn't there, not realizing that it wouldn't be available because of the limitations of Photoshop on the iPad. So I figured, I'll just take them off the JPEGs, because I always have the camera set to write RAW to the SD card and JPEGs to internal. But for some reason it was empty. So I'm looking, and before, when I set that up, I set it up as RAW, and then I set my JPEG size, and then I went into the settings and said, write RAW to the disk and JPEG to the internal. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling here. There's just so much. Anyway, and it didn't work. And I know it worked before, but it doesn't work now, which I don't know why. But if I select RAW JPEG from my menu, so I want to shoot RAW and JPEG, I never selected that before because I didn't want those two written on the same disk. I hate that when I bring it up in Photoshop and have two of everything and then have to go through to pick which ones are RAW and which are JPEG. Anyway, but you have to select RAW JPEG, RAW, then you tell RAW to write to the SD card and JPEG to write to the internal. And again, I'm 99% sure that wasn't like that before the version 1.6 update. Maybe it was changed on the 1.6.1, I don't know. And again, I could be absolutely wrong, but I know it always worked before, setting RAW only and JPEG the size. So neither here nor there. But I just want to go through some of these images for you and show you the benefits of the in-camera perspective control, because it is really amazing how well a job it does and how it brings it into Lightroom and or Photoshop on the computer, not on the iPad. But I shot the JPEG, so the JPEGs will automatically go to that crop. So anyway, I just want to show you the before and afters of what this camera can do with perspective control, and I think you're going to be kind of impressed. And I know for a lot of you, there's a huge help. Like for me, that's a huge help because it's such a time-consuming thing to do perspective control in the computer when it just comes in this way. And if you need a little tweak here or there, it's easy to do. But 90% of the time, I don't need tweaks with this camera on perspective control. It just works. Anyway, enjoy the photos, and I'll talk to you soon. So the first image is the RAW image, and the second image will be the JPEG image that the camera added the perspective control to. And as you can see, the camera does a spectacular job with perspective control. And to see it in the viewfinder or on the screen, it's really, it's amazing because it does give you a white box that shows you exactly what's happening and exactly what the crop's going to be. So I do love this feature quite a bit. I'm showing close-ups in, further away. Like this one here, a 21mm would have helped because I'm shooting up such an angle, it really had to crop in to get the right perspective. But for the rest of these, the 28mm is just fine. It worked out great. I'm telling you, like, this is going to save so much time for so many people that shoot buildings and architecture and so forth, because it just works. There's no headaches. There's nothing. I mean, obviously, yes, you can tweak some of these, and yeah, their normal edits would be great. Maybe I'll add an edited one to the end, but like straight out of camera, you can't beat this for on the fly shooting like this. It's just absolutely spectacular. And given that you have the raw image to work with the perspective already put on it, and you can decide not to use it. Again, like the JPEGs, they're coming out fantastic, obviously, but I would use raw for the tweaking and the editing. But I'm doing little objects like this and bigger objects. I just want to show you, what this thing can do, because it really is that impressive. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the images. If you have any questions, leave them below. But perspective control on the Leica M11, I'm really happy with it. And again, ask questions if you have them.